and Korea with the West and Europe. And here's Jared Kushner. Let's see what he has to say, landing on Emirati soil.
Thank you. President Trump, to the great people of the United Arab Emirates. We just completed a truly historic flight, the first ever commercial flight from Israel to an Arab Gulf country. This hopefully will be the first of many. I want to thank and congratulate the Crown Prince, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, my friend, on his leadership and courage. Last year, he celebrated the Year of Tolerance and welcomed Pope Francis to the Gulf. And this year, he welcomes Israel. Mohammed bin Zayed is truly leading the new Middle East. Also historic was the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia granting permission for this Israeli commercial flight to use its airspace. This is the first time that this has ever happened. I would like to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for making that possible. On the plane, we asked the pilots to fly faster because there is great urgency between the people of both countries to break down old barriers, to get to know each other, to form new and hopefully very deep friendships. While this peace was forged by its leaders, it is overwhelmingly desired by the people. The very few who have been critical of this peace agreement are the ones with a long track record of failure and trapping their own people in misery and poverty. They exploit division to maintain power, but their rhetoric has grown tired and the region is breaking free from their grip. The Middle East is filled with brilliant, industrious, tolerant, and innovative people, and the future belongs to them. I ask everyone today to join us in celebrating this peace and to help us expand it throughout the region and the entire world. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. It's great to return to the UAE, and I too bring you greetings from President Donald J. Trump. When I was here last year, it was to thank the Crown Prince for the UAE's assistance in recovering an American hostage from Yemen, Danny Birch. I can tell you the Crown Prince, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, is a friend who can be counted upon. It is especially remarkable that we have flown here directly from Israel, Ben Gurion Airport, on the first ever commercial flight to Abu Dhabi. This flight was made possible by the UAE's recent historic agreement with Israel, the Abraham Accords, which normalized relations between America's most reliable and most capable partners in the region. These two great nations are beginning the process of exchanging ambassadors and are cooperating in a broad range of fields, including finance, education, healthcare, trade, and security. This will unleash economic growth in both countries. The combination of Israeli know-how and high-tech and the UAE's capital and financial centers is going to create something very, very special in the Middle East. On the religious and cultural front, Muslims who wish to pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque will now be able to fly from Abu Dhabi directly to Tel Aviv, and they will be welcomed. We're truly impressed by the leadership exhibited by the UAE and by the Crown Prince in this effort to make peace. Without his vision and without his courage, the Abraham Accords would not be possible. This agreement represents the most significant step toward peace in the Middle East in over 25 years. At long last, nations are putting aside old ideas and old grievances and embracing a better future, a future of shared interest and shared goals. Working together, the UAE and Israel will be more secure than ever. Together, they'll form a united front with the United States against Iran. We believe that additional Arab and Muslim countries will soon follow the United Arab Emirates' lead and normalize relations with Israel. This trend will put the region on a truly transformative path of stability, of security, and of opportunity. Thanks to the courage and leadership of Crown Prince Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, and President Donald Trump, A new era has truly begun for our three nations. And these leaders will now be known throughout history as peacemakers. I want to thank Jared and his team, Special Representative Hook, Special Envoy Berkowitz, our NSC team of Mark Vandroff and Rob Greenway and Miguel Correa and Alex Gray for their excellent efforts in helping to assist Jared and myself as we've helped bring the parties together. But the real credit here goes to the Israelis and to the Emiratis. And I'm very pleased to share the stage with Mayor Ben Shabbat, who also was on the historic flight from Tel Aviv with us. So Abu Dhabi has become one of the great capital cities of the world, not just in the region, but of the entire globe. I'm truly looking forward to my stay here in the Emirates and working with my Emirati and American and Israeli colleagues. Thank you. May God bless the UAE and may God bless America.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أنا فخور وفرحان جدا بوجودي هنا كرئيس الوفد الإسرائيلي. وصلنا هنا من شأن تحويل رؤية إلى واقع.
Head of the Israeli delegation here now speaking alongside Robert O'Brien and Jared Kushner, flanking him on either side, somewhat taller than he is at this event here, highlighted at the podium. But this is a huge moment. You feel it in the words of these men as they express their excitement arriving in the tarmac here. Mayor Ben Shabbat, the head of the Israeli delegation, speaking in Arabic now as he's on the tarmac here, his opening words to the Emiratis upon this beginning of this peace delegation here now, due to be in the country for 2 days, discussing a wide range of economic relations to come here, including from agriculture, science, all sorts of collaboration, even involving the coronavirus here now. And as we've heard it from these officials, having just arrived on the tarmac here in Abu Dhabi, it's an exciting moment.
לאור יום ולעיני כל במטוס הנושא דגל ישראל ביחד עם ידידינו האמריקאים אשר להם תפקיד מפתח.
As we look at these officials now arriving here and excited for their moments as much as they are here. I'm joined still in the studio with Alec Pollard, a correspondent here, and Alec, we were just breaking down the list of things to take place in these next 2 days. Obviously, as we heard Kushner himself mentioned, they asked the pilots to speed up in the air. We're having such urgency to get there and begin working on this process of normalization here now. And we were just touching on this when we cut to listen to their speeches here now about this being an economic focus, a focus on the civilian sector here. And it appears arms wide open by the Emiratis here towards those gestures.
Yes, that's one of the things that have been quite amazing about this whole process, how open the United Arab Emirates have been about this deal, not trying to hide it at all, despite a lot of opposition in the Arab world, conducting interviews on the national television news channel with Netanyahu, with other ministers, and just sharing stuff on Twitter, everybody, the news channels and the officials talking about it very, very openly. So there's no attempt here at all to try to sort of hide this normalization of ties. And this agreement really has a lot of potential compared to Israel's other peace treaties with Egypt and Jordan, which are much more treaties between administrations, between the leaders of the countries, sort of, political deals, not really peace treaties between the peoples. If you go into the streets of Cairo and if you talk about peace with Israel, a lot of people there are against the peace with Israel, and the same thing in Jordan. But here we're really seeing from the people on the ground, a lot of people really coming out and supporting this deal, supporting their leaders in making this deal. And that's also one of the things that rings true in the United Arab Emirates, is that because these emirates are each run by leaders with family ties to their emirate, whether it be in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, they have a lot of trust in their leaders, which is something that we don't always see in the Western world. These politically elected...
prosperous country, maybe that's one of the big differences in the Middle East, at least.
Possibly. But it's very different than it is in the U.S. or in Israel, where somebody is elected and then builds a coalition, and then there's a lot of scrutiny that goes on, and a very, very toxic political environment. In the United Arab Emirates, they don't quite have that. You have the leaders of each emirate who their people really do trust them and believe in them, and a lot of people saying that this agreement that was brought by the leaders and initiated by the leaders like Mohammed bin Zayed, saying if he did this, it's for the best of our country, and we're following suit, and we are going to also be part of this ongoing normalization of ties with the State of Israel.
And just to fill in any viewers who are tuning in now, again, you're seeing the tarmac in Abu Dhabi at the airport here. All the U.S. and Israeli delegation arriving now. This is Jared Kushner, Robert O'Brien, and the head of the Israeli delegation there. As well, listen, seems like Kushner's due to speak again. Let's listen in. Taking some questions now.
How did it feel to you personally? How did it feel to you personally to be on the first ever commercial flight from Tel Aviv to Abu Dhabi?
Thank you very much for the welcome. I believe that this agreement has the ability to change the whole course of the Middle East. For the last 3.5 years that I've been working on different issues in the Middle East, there's been a lot of sense of hopelessness. The last decades we've had conflict and war and division. And what happened here was 3 great leaders came together and they started writing the script for a new Middle East. President Trump worked very closely with Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed. And they said we don't have to, the future doesn't have to be predetermined by the past. And so they showed a lot of courage, they worked together, and we realized that most people want the same thing. They want the ability to live a better life, they want to have a better job, they want to live in peace, and we're all sons of the same God. So for me to fly over here today was a tremendous honor. My grandparents survived the Holocaust. They were persecuted because of their faith in Nazi Germany in the 1940s. And they came to America and they were able to experience freedom, and that enabled them to live the American dream and have a great life. And I'm very fortunate today to work for a great president of the United States, and to be a part of this delegation that took this historic flight shows that barriers that exist can be broken if we only have the courage and the optimism and the vision to see them through. So, thank you. The message that we carry for the Palestinians is also one of hope. We've done a lot of great work to lay out a pathway for them to improve their future. We've put an offer to their leadership on the table that will enable them to have a state and self-determination and an economic plan that could revitalize their economy. But we can't want more peace. We can't want peace more than they want peace. And so when they are ready, the whole region is very excited to help lift them up and move them forward. But they can't be stuck in the past. They have to come to the table. They have to figure out how do we do something that benefits everybody and allow everyone to move forward. So again, peace will be ready for them, and opportunity will be ready for them as soon as they're ready to embrace it. Thank you.
And this is Jared Kushner on the tarmac in Abu Dhabi. In case you're just joining us here, this is upon the landing of this delegation. They're having just flown over Saudi Arabia from Tel Aviv these last few hours. So now they're taking some questions from the assembled press corps at the airport here in Abu Dhabi. Let's listen again.
United Arab Emirates has a very special defense relationship with America that goes back 30 years. They have tremendous capability. America and the United Arab Emirates work on tremendous missions together. They've accomplished incredible things. Right now, the biggest threat in the region that we see is Iran. You know, when President Trump came into office, ISIS had a caliphate the size of Ohio. There was a lot of funding that was going to terrorism, and there were a lot of people who were using the internet to radicalize youth. President Trump has worked very closely with the leaders of the UAE and the other Gulf states and other Arab leaders to try and bring the region closer together. The caliphate of ISIS, the physical caliphate, has been taken back, and now we're focused on the future and what advancements we can make. So the military relationship that America has with the United Arab Emirates is very special, just as the relationship that America has with Israel is incredibly special. And so the QME is something that can be respected while also advancing our military relationship with the United Arab Emirates. And we'll be talking more about that over the coming weeks and months. But, you know, today is about celebrating this historic breakthrough, which enables opportunities for the people to come closer together, for people from the technology sector, from the economy, from the agricultural sector, and even for the security sector to start working together. So the thing that brought everyone together is that there are a tremendous amount of common opportunities between the countries, and it's within the interests of both countries to move forward, and that's why both leaders showed the courage to make the historic step that we are taking today. Thank you. Great.